cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
Do you ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountain?
Beware of the turtle. Ohio State getting ready to host Maryland this week, and we're here to preview it on the View from Sea Deck. And we got the trio is back for a menage a trois here, and I can't wait. Both of you all have been me. The Haas, though, and the Direwolf, finally all three together for the first time this season. And battle of unbeatens, 5-0 Maryland coming into the shoe. Ohio State, though, 19.5-point favorites right now. The line's already moved up a little bit in the direction that thinks Ohio State's going to destroy them. Both teams, though, very similar statistically at the moment. So since we talked about this beforehand, I have to ask you right away, Casey, why the hell do you think there's going to be an under in this game?
Our defense, man. I think Maryland's got a good offense for sure, but so did Notre Dame. So did Western Kentucky, allegedly. I just don't see them scoring more than, I think we're going to hold them to 13 or less. So that would mean we got to score 43, 44. And just the way that just the clock rules and the way we've been playing the last few games. Western Kentucky, I don't know if we're going to score that many points. And I think we're going to have to score maybe 50 to hit that over. What was it?
57. You think we're running 50-7? Man. then what? Then go ahead and pick us minus 19.5.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you'll be surprised, man. I see it being like a 35-10 game.
All right. Well, Haas, we'll get your overall thoughts on the game, though. What are you looking for coming in here Saturday, besides Casey's ridiculous under pick?
Looking for the defensive line to maybe get some pressures. Talia is going to try to air it out. They're supposedly this is the best Maryland team that they've ever had, so they're going to be trying to air it out and try to test our sex. So it's really maybe going to be finally an offense, because I think Notre Dame's offense, you've seen them kind of not really against Duke. I don't think Duke's got a great defense, and they couldn't really do much.
Pretty good.
They're good.
He's pretty good.
I think it's like it's kind of given us that false sense of security like last year. I think a little bit with our defense, and then when we finally face some big boys coming up in Penn State and Michigan, hopefully our defense is still good then. So I'm interested to see if Maryland can test us, because I want to be tested. I want to see if they can actually hold up against some good passing attacks.
Yeah, this will definitely be a test defensively against the pass. Talia's been really good, and they spread the ball around. They have basically 4 guys with the same amount of catches, including their tight end, 3 guys with 18 and 1 with 19. So they really spread the ball around. Their tailback's good, but he hasn't been as good this year as he was last year. He's only averaging 4.8 yards per carry, although their backup tailback is averaging like 7 yards a carry. But that's, against who they've played, it's been a really crappy schedule for them so far. But you can only play who you play, and they beat them all by at least 18. And I do think this is the best Maryland team, but Mike Loxley is still the coach. And if we know anything about playing coaches that make bad decisions, you usually don't beat us. Day's maybe not the perfect coach, but he doesn't get beat by these coaches that make idiotic decisions or have huge deficiencies. And how many times have we seen Maryland come into a game like this, like last year against Iowa? Huge night at home, and Talia throws like 3 pick sixes in the game and like 5 interceptions. Any hope of that, though, Casey, seeing us get back on track, at least in terms of forcing turnovers like we didn't do against Notre Dame?
I could see that happen, and that game actually vividly, I was thinking of that earlier, because I believe, was that right before they played us?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I remember thinking, oh, come on, they're going to win this. They're going to be ranked. It's going to look like a good win, and then they pissed down their leg. But, yeah, I could see some interceptions. I don't know about a pick six. That's kind of ballsy to say that, but I could
do it. Get it all.
I could see some picks. Now, having said that, my under is so ridiculous, so you should bet the over, right?
Yes. Oh, I'm betting the over. That's one of my picks in our gambling podcast for sure.
Oh for 1.
5 straight times, you'd be wrong. Actually, I think every year you'd be wrong that we've played them.
We're under every game but one, though, this year.
Speaking of them supposedly being ranked, though, why the hell aren't they ranked? Jason, why the F is LSU ranked at 3-2 and Maryland is not?
I mean, it's the SEC bias that we always see, but I will say I kind of see it like I think the Pac-12 and SEC are head and shoulders above the rest of the football world. And until Maryland maybe plays somebody, at least LSU has played people and yes, they've
Lost.
given up a lot of points, but they've been in very close games. Both of their losses are on the road. So that also plays into their hand too, and they've been in close games for the most part.
Technically, Florida State was a neutral site. Technically.
Yeah.
The SEC is the worst conference. The Pac-12 is by far the best.
Yeah, well, the SEC's got more ranked now, so but I just think the SEC top to bottom is still going to be better than, as if not equal, than the Pac-12 right now. And they're both still above us. Like, you put Maryland in, and we'll see how they play against us. If they give us a good dogfight, then we know they should be ranked top 25. But we beat them. If you say we're going to beat them by 30 and hold them to under 14 points, they don't deserve to be ranked top 25. So, we'll see how they hold up against us, I guess.
I'd almost say Fresno is the bigger slap in the face to be ahead of them.
I mean, they've beaten who they've played. They beat Purdue. That was a good win for them on the road. So
Purdue stinks, but they have annihilated everybody else they played.
Yeah.
So historically, though, at Ohio Stadium, here's even more, Casey. So the over, what's the over? 56.
56.
Okay, last 3 times they played us in Ohio Stadium, Ohio State has scored 62, 73, and 66 points. So they should be able to take care of it by themselves, according to that.
Yeah.
But Maryland is better.
Yeah.
Defensively, also. Offensively, I'm looking to see the offensive line have a better. I didn't think they played horrible against Notre Dame. Even the run blocking, they weren't setting up a lot, but just the short yard situations. But I'm much more on it's a play calling tendency issue now that I think we just give away what we're going to do with formations and tendencies and play calling tendencies. The same way you'd read somebody in poker and the way they're playing, the way they're betting. When are they betting in what situation? What are we doing in what situation?
He's trying to outsmart himself at times. I don't know how many times you're going to run to the short side of the field, throw the screen passes to the short side of the field, not run it up. Like, Travion is beautiful to the outside, but yet he's continually trying to run him up the middle. Like, get him out in space, run him to the wide side of the field, but we're hampering our offense by trying to be too cute with it at times. I don't think I'd throw out the idea that he's trying to save something. We're too far into the season now to save something, and just go with what works. And it's just the run game still needs a lot of kinks worked out. The offensive line's but I do want to bring up the linebackers with our defense, Matt.
Oh God, we'll get to the defense later. Let's go with offense for now.
I was gonna say, you mean like the 160-yard run that Trey had to the outside, that?
He bounced it on his own too. It wasn't even supposed to go outside.
Yeah.
Offensively, that's what I want to see is the running game continue to get on track and McCord to pick up where he left off on that last drive. I mean, a little more accurate would be nice, but the confidence that he had to have gained from making that happen, and just the confidence like Casey said that Day should have in him now to let it rip when he feels like he needs to let it rip, because we could end up. I mean, Talia's good, and we'll talk about our defense in a minute, but Talia's only been sacked 3 times all year. We can't get sacks. If we can't get to him, then it very well could be a good day for them, because they just have good skill players, and he's a good quarterback. So if we fall down 10 points, does Day stay conservative or go conservative and try to just run the ball and get Travion going, or does he let Kyle McCord rip it to these stud receivers we got?
I hope he lets him rip it. For the love of God, please let him rip it. But I don't see us getting sacks. It's just not who we are this year. And just because you're not getting sacks doesn't mean you're not doing your job. They've been pressuring them quite a bit this year. They're just containing, which I'm okay with if we keep only giving up 10 points a game.
Right. But I think that's contributing to our difficulties getting off the field on third down too.
Yeah. It's the bend but don't break defense. But if we're going to let them get 10 to 15-yard plays and eat up 7 to 8 minutes of clock every time, then our offense isn't going to get on the field, and then we're going to be in these close dogfights and nail biters, and then we're going to get bit in the ass if we're never going to get off the field. Yeah, okay, we give up a field goal. We don't give up any points. We make them go for it on fourth, and we get the ball back. But if we don't have any time to do anything with the offense, then we're just going to be in these close games like we've been in for this most part of this year, and it could bite us in the ass.
2002.
Yeah, 2002. I mean, that's how my outlook is for this year. Is I'm in 2002. I said to Casey that I'm just like, just win, just keep winning, and hopefully we just win them all, and we end up with the title at the end of the year, and we don't know how it happened. But Jason had spilled some good info to me earlier this week about some observations he had during the Notre Dame game about how poorly our linebackers played, and I didn't really pick up on that as much during the game, but it was confirmed a lot by PFF. So, Jason, I'll let you go in and what you think we need to see from these guys on Saturday.
Start off, I have never been a huge Steel Chambers fan, or our linebackers, or our defensive recruiting. I've wanted to strangle Ryan Day for not wanting to hit home on the defense side of the ball. The fact that we have a running back that's changed positions, playing linebacker, is not a good sign. And you watch that Notre Dame game, every long run they had of more than 5 or 10 yards was directly attributed to Steel Chambers shooting the wrong hole, or just getting lit up by somebody and just being non-existent. His PFF rating was in the low 20s. Tommy Eichenberg wasn't much better in the mid-30s. Our linebackers were horrendous in that game. I was watching them just say, what are they going to do? Boom, they get blown up or sucked up, or they're just missed tackles. They were horrendous, and I've always thought he's been kind of just guys out there running around. He looks good when he makes a play because he's fast, but watch the linebackers. They are not good, and they could bite us when we need to cover tight ends come Penn State and Michigan.
This weekend, they had good tight end.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they were by far. It wasn't that they were low rated. Like, basically everybody else on our defense had a 60 or above, which is like a winning grade, and they were like way low. And then I thought about it more too, and definitely the first year against Michigan, that was like the worst game I'd ever seen him play.
Yes.
Was the first Michigan loss in Ann Arbor, and last year too. So maybe but look at if you probably count the three most physical offensive lines we've played in the last 3 years, maybe Georgia in there, but it'd be those three: Michigan 2021, Michigan 2022, and Notre Dame this year. Maybe they're getting, because they can get to our linebackers too, especially when I said when Hamilton's in the game, which he ended up with a decent rating, but I feel like that's when a lot of the big runs were happening too. And he's not the kind of guy that's going to eat up blocks. Like, he's smaller, he's there to try and like penetrate and make plays, and doesn't do it enough for my liking, to be frank. But neither here nor there. And then Mike Hall's a smaller guy too, so they're not going to have, if there's a big physical line that can get to them, that's athletic enough to get to them, they're going to get to him, because we only have one guy up front, and that's Tyleek, that's going to eat up blocks.
Yeah. You guys are shocking me with numbers. I had no idea that they had that bad of games. They've been in the past full year, and until Notre Dame, I felt like they were the strength of the defense. I mean, the defensive backs were no bueno last year.
Yeah. Latham was great against Notre Dame.
Yes. And Sonny Styles even had a mediocre game. He made a couple bad plays. But last year, I thought that they weren't too bad. I thought the secondary was really bad last year. But it was, like I said, the false sense of security going in, and Michigan really took advantage of everything, and it was really just one bad half. And then Georgia was a shootout, and their defense was non-existent. I'm getting a sense of that again, and it's because I'm seeing these linebackers are terrible in our defensive line. Yes, it's playing maybe to a scheme of containing, but these quarterbacks that we've played aren't like crazy athletes. Like, Hardman can run, but like, I don't see why we need to play the containment. I'd rather get pressure on him and try to soak him up that way. But I'm not comfortable right now with it.
You get a little too extremes at times. They're not terrible. They're just
they're not terrible. No, I agree. They're not terrible, but they were terrible against Notre Dame. We can say that. But this is not an overwhelming offensive line we're playing this week, nor is it an overwhelming defensive line. They can't generate a pass rush. We should win this game in the line of scrimmage, and just going by history and what's going like that. So we're 19.5-point favorites, over under 56. We already know where the direwolf line is on the under there, but do you think we cover there, Casey?
I do. Yeah. Like I said, I don't see them scoring more than Notre Dame did. Maybe 14 at the most. I'm thinking 13. And So that means all we'd have to score is 33. No way we score 33. So the smarter bet, I guess, probably would have been for me to do on the spread, but I like our unders this year.
You'd be 3-1 right now if you were only betting unders. All right. Jason, what do you think? Do we cover, and are we going over under in this?
I think we cover, and it wise move says to bet the over, but I think we cover the over under. I'm never huge into those numbers, but I definitely think we cover. I just think what really struck to me with McCord in that whole game was him being able to spread the ball around. He did focus in on guys specifically, but it was to a good point. Like Stover was just getting open, and quarterbacks do that when a guy's hot. And then Ibuka on that last drive. So I think maybe Day sees something, and maybe McCord seeing something. Hey, I've got more than just Harrison, and I'm really coming into the fold here with this offense, and I've got these 2 running backs now, and you can really incorporate everything. So hopefully he lets it rip. Hopefully he just gets everybody involved, and maybe this offense can take that next step of opening the floodgates.
Yeah. One note on the over-under, this is by far the lowest under, but they've all been like in the low 60s over those years, and then we've gone, like I said, the lowest combined was 73. I'd like to, I think we cover, and I think but I'm a little more worried about it because statistically we're about dead nuts even, and we've only played one real hard game compared to their 0, but it's not enough to like really throw off the stats that bad. So it makes me ponder a bit, but also, they still have the gigantic line because of what we've done to them in Ohio Stadium, and what Mike Loxley teams do when there's actually like expectations and pressure on them, is they tend to just crap down their leg. So I think we cover, and I think the over is it just happens too often in this matchup. And I do think their offense is legit good. Maybe the best passing attack we're going to see all year, to be honest, until the playoff, which we're going to play something way, way better. But Burke's been so good. Our corners have been so good. I think they hold up. It's counter linebackers and safeties hold up in coverage. If we don't get to Talia, which we're probably not going to be able to, that'll be deciding if Maryland can even compete in this game. Because if they can't get hit against those guys, if they can't work us over the middle, it's going to be a long day for them overall, because I don't think they're going to run the ball much against this team. As we always do on these podcasts, though, Casey, without breaking down every single team, do you think after our bye week that our chances at national championship have gone up, down? Where do you think?
I guess stayed the same. Georgia didn't look good, so maybe it goes up slightly. But Michigan looked better than they did the prior week. Mm-hmm. So I'll keep it even.
Haas.
For me, they went down. I think Oregon and Washington are getting better and better, and they're looking tougher as they're going to for sure get one. Texas is looking really good, and we'll see what they do this weekend against Oklahoma. I think it's down a little bit. Everybody's looking better.
Yeah, I'd say it's about even where it was, but I'm with you that there's a lot more landmines out there that I'm kind of like, how are we going to beat? Really, Washington and Oregon, how are we going to beat that if they especially Oregon's defense is pretty legit. They're top 10 right now defense with the number 2 offense in the country. Like they have the best marriage of that right now, statistically. And Georgia, I'm not scared of anymore because after watching, they kind of got pushed around, and they have an interesting game this week. But yeah, I'm a little bit more even. But see the improvements we make out of the bye week. Last year the bye week, we were a worse team after the bye week the whole year. Like I thought we were the best team in the country maybe after the first 6 weeks, and then we had the bye, and then we never looked that way again. So hopefully we do the opposite of what we did last time. All right, well, that'll do it for the preview here for Maryland. Obviously, we didn't have to review a game this week, so this is a little bit shorter than normal. But thank you for tuning in, and we keep those counts going up. We're almost got 100 views last time. Holy crap. But yeah, like, subscribe, especially now that the Haas is here for a 3-way menage a trois of information. Yeah, that's the sex appeal is what we needed. That's all we've been lacking. You're the looks. I'm the brains. Casey's the muscle.
And you need a wild card.
Well, we do need a wild card. Where's Greeny at? He's still like sulking in his Notre Dame basement somewhere. All right, but that'll do it for this episode, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey guys,
Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
A rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but the